Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Houston Sharpshooters Draft to Glory franchise mode here in NHL 22. So in last episode, we had the draft and re-sign stage in the entire offseason, and we picked up a new head coach for the team for this upcoming season, just to give us a little bit more chemistry and maybe a better production rate from our players. Our team looks also pretty good going forward so far, at least, because we do have some nice new prospects into our team, including Gene Thornton, who we drafted at number 2 overall, which arguably he could have went 3rd overall because he was an 81 overall, but I think he's going to be the better goal scorer that could help us out. We also did draft a few other players, including Pete Pasquale, George Forster, who actually has medium elite potential. So I'm very excited to see how this guy could grow. He is a grinder, though, so he's more of like a penalty kill specialist, I guess you could say. We also brought in Dave Alanin, Boris Zubov, and then on the defensive end, we did add one defensive prospect, which is an enforcer in Orlando Ryder. And then we didn't do anything different for our goaltending situation, so our team looks pretty good. We do have one prospect, actually, that I also drafted in last episode that is going to be a depth forward for us because we do not have room on our forward core. So we've been drafting a lot more forwards than defense, so that might be something we need to address going forward. But at least we have really good chemistry in pretty much every one of our lineups parts because of this new head coach, so should be an interesting season nonetheless. Now our special teams, they'll have like negative chemistry, which is not great, but at least our 5-on-5 and stuff are good, so that should be interesting. So before we get actually simulating, we do have a few comments to go over. So the first few are from Quinn DeGregorio. He says, should have taken the low top 4 in the 6th round. Very forward heavy draft, which, yeah, I agree with. We did take a lot of forwards in that draft because if we look at our roster again quickly, we did take Thornton, we took Pasquale, Forster, Zubov, and Lannon, and then also we took Aegon, so we literally only took one defenseman in that entire draft. So, yeah, we definitely need to start targeting defense, especially, even though this does have pretty good chemistry so far. Quinn also says that he loves it, and he says definitely prioritize a defenseman for the next draft. Maybe take one in the 1st round. Forward group looks solid. Love the series so far. So, yeah, I definitely think we will target a defenseman in the 1st round in the upcoming draft, because at the moment, we have guys with not really a whole lot of potential. Like, these guys are solid AHL defensemen, but we do need a kind of like a stud defenseman. Roger Turris is our best defender with a low top 4 potential, but everybody else is like a 7th D potential pretty much. So we do definitely need to find like a elite defenseman, I think, in this upcoming draft to help us out in terms of our defense, because goaltending should be pretty much set in stone with like some fringe starters and our elite goalie in the minors. And in forward core wise, we could just add a few more pieces. And as long as we get growth from like Jaskalainen, Thornton, and Morales, this team will start to score goals for sure. The next comment is from Alien Pete. He says, next year's draft needs defense and centers. Korostin is a winger playing center, probably not best for his development. But yeah, Korostin actually can play center. He has 75 on faceoff, so he's not terrible. Obviously, I would rather be playing him as a winger, though, because he is a sniper. So yeah, we definitely could add some more centers in at next year's draft as well, alongside defense, because defense is our main need. So let's quickly look at the draft class ahead of time. We will look at it at the end of the simulation of the season, but I do want to quickly take a look and see if there is defense that we could potentially target for this team, because like I said, defense is our main concern with this team right now. And looks like there would be one that goes like 4th overall, so we might have to end up just taking Teratukin. He's probably an elite defenseman. But if for some reason we have a better season than we should, we could also get like one of these guys like Olsen, Burnett, and that's pretty much it. So there's only like 3 defensive options pretty much in the 1st round, which is not that great, but hopefully we can get this Teratukin guy. We might end up just taking him over all these other guys because we definitely need to address that defense, I think, first and foremost. So anyways, that is that. Let's simulate this season and see how this team does with a new head coach and some new prospects. And I'm expecting a better season than last year, because last year we had 3 wins altogether. First year we had 5 wins, so I'm expecting, like, I'm going to give a prediction at maybe around 7 or 8 wins this season. Maybe more because of the chemistry, but we'll see how this team performs. And hopefully we could get a good draft spot again in terms of the draft lottery, because we have not had the 1st overall pick yet in this franchise mode so far. So it'd be nice to get the 1st overall pick for a change. So Okay, so we went 3-4 in the preseason, so that's a lot better than I expected. Todd Malhotra leading the team in points with 7 points in 7 games. That's also kind of surprising. I'm expecting some big things from Malhotra to an extent because, like I said, like last season, this guy's got good passing stats, so he might actually be able to produce better than we expect. Okay, so now that the preseason is done, let's start simulating the regular season and see how this team performs. Hopefully we could score more goals than we did last year, because last year we improved a little bit in terms of goals for. We went to 1.04 goals per game, and then goals against got improved as well. So hopefully all those type of things also improve in this third season. Just like it doesn't matter if it's a lot or a little, but hopefully it improves a slight bit. So we are starting off the season off with a losing streak, which is a good sign for the draft lottery, obviously, but I really want to just start improving in terms of getting some wins. Looks like we're losing in extra frames a decent amount of times, but I think so far we look like we're playing a little bit better defensively, but we're still having those terrible games where we allow 7 goals. We do win our first game of the season against the New Jersey Devils, and we win our first home game of our entire history against Tampa Bay, because we didn't win any home games in the first 2 years, but we do beat Tampa Bay on home ice. So the fans got to win. There's another win on home ice against Detroit, so we are actually winning games on home ice, which is good to see because obviously we want those fans to be excited about the future of this team. We also do have a lot of extra frame losses so far, so we're getting more points than we did last year because of those OT losses. There's an OT win over Arizona and a win over Pittsburgh on home ice. So we seem to be doing a lot better on home ice than we have done in previous seasons. And we are already having our best season yet. We have 6 wins so far. There's 7 wins and another OT loss. Yeah, the team is definitely doing better than they were the first 2 years. Could be the new coach, but I'm not 100% sure with that. It probably is to do with the new coach and the chemistry, because we do have a lot of extra frame losses. We almost have 10 wins on the season, so we're outperforming what I projected. And we'll go in as a seller, and we'll go continue simulating because we're not making no trades. And obviously, I'm going to have to... Actually, there's a notification maybe. Decline not claiming cut. Judge Akaria would have been like one of our best players on our team if we would have claimed him, but we don't claim players. There's our 10th win of the season, so we've hit double-digit wins for the first time, so we are trending in the right direction. We have 12 wins, and we have a lot of OT losses, so we're actually having a way better season than I expected. Last 3 games of the year, are we going to get one more win? No, we are not. So we're going to finish 12, 57, and 13, so there's our best season yet here in Houston. So 12 wins on the season and 13 OT losses. Finishes us with 37 points, which is a big increase, because last year I believe we had like less than 10 points, right? Maybe like 12 points, something around that, maybe 20 something points, but we did increase our points by a lot. And yeah, also we got some good production from our top prospect or top player in Jaskalina with 75 points. So this season looks really good. We might have actually scored a lot more goals than I expected this year for this team. So let's take a look at the standings first just to see what we did good and what we did bad, and then we'll take a look at our player stats. So entire league-wise, obviously we're going to still be dead last in the league, but this time around it was only by 34 points, if my math is correct. Yeah, 34 points. So a big increase in point production from this team. Goals for per game. We also doubled our goals for per game from last year, because last year we were at, like I said, I think just below 1 goal per game average or so, and now we're at 2.33, so a big increase in goals for, almost as good as Nashville and stuff like that. So that's actually pretty good. Yeah, that's a big increase in offense. Still the worst offense in the league, but you know, it's a major increase. And in terms of goals against, obviously still the worst defensive team in the league, but it was also improved, I think, a little bit, because I think last year we allowed over 5 goals a game. Maybe it was less than that, but I think we did improve in that category as well. I'd have to actually take a look at the last video, or a couple episodes ago, just to see if we did improve in that category. Power play percentage-wise was one of the best in the entire NHL, I think. Yep, we had one of the best power plays in the NHL, which is a really big accomplishment for this young team. And for a team that has really bad overalls, 19.1%, which was top 10 behind Toronto, Columbus, the Rangers, the Lightning, Carolina, Ottawa, and Edmonton. So very good stuff from the power play unit. And then our penalty kill unit did not do as good, 76%, the worst in the NHL, but it probably did improve, I would assume, from previous years. So that's also good. We also did score shorthanded goals, and as I was mentioning, we won home games this year for the first time, 6-27-8. So our fans had something to cheer about this year. And we are also 6-30-5 on the road, so 6 wins on both home and away ice. And we also got some extra frame points to boot. But we're 0-9-1 in our last 10 games going into the end of the season. So that is how we did this year, and I think that was a pretty good season for the most part. But now it comes down to the projection or the stats from the players, and then we'll take a look at the the progress reports. I keep messing up those words, and then we will simulate also to the draft to find out where we're drafting, the awards, all that sort of things. So let's go by each position. So starting off with Raimo Jääskeläinen, he's up to an 82 overall now. He was only a minus 39, but he had 75 points this year, which is a major increase for this team. Last year he had 35 points and was a minus 67. So as you can see, he doubled his points and added a little bit more and played much better defensively. So it could have been that power play unit that was going for him. Maybe he's setting up Gene Thornton, and that helped out a lot or something. But a very good season from Jääskeläinen. Pete Pasquale, 22 points. That's not a bad rookie season for the top 9 prospect. He was a minus 55, which is not great, but he was shooting above 10%. He also had some power play points, so that's good. Maybe our power play actually just made our team way too good. And he actually had a good face-off percentage of above 50%, so that's pretty good. He actually has 80 on face-offs. How did Jääskeläinen do on the face-off dot? He was also above 50%, so we won a lot more face-offs this year, I think, too. And then Boris Zubov, who we recently drafted, 10 points in 82 games. He did have 8 goals, so that's not too bad, and was only a minus 32, so that fourth line was not very minus, or he wasn't, because he averaged only 7 minutes on ice, so that's not too bad. How was his face-off percentage? 46.6, so he lost a lot more. Not really a surprise, though, because he's got 67 on face-offs. We head to our left wingers in Gene Thornton with a 73-point rookie season, 33 goals, 40 assists. He's jumped up to an 86 overall after 1 year. Wow, okay. So Gene Thornton is definitely a key piece of this team, and it seems like him and Jääskeläinen work really well together. He doesn't really fit this coach's scheme fit that well, but he does produce, which is good. He does have low satisfaction with this coach, which is kind of concerning, but very good rookie season from Gene Thornton. Shooting 15% as well. Definitely helped out our power play unit. And then Kyler Morales, 72 points as well. So our top prospects all produced. Morales is up to an 85 now. So Morales, Thornton, and Jääskeläinen, very good seasons from them. Morales was also only a minus 32, so that's pretty solid. Malhotra, 25 points. That's not too bad either. And he's up to a 69 overall as well, so he's almost getting close to being like a fourth liner, minus 50. And then Cole Sim, 22 points, minus 58, 62 overall now. Not too bad. Cedric Holloway, 11 points in 82 games and a minus 44. He's a 61. I don't really know if some of these bottom sixes are going to pan out, but hopefully they continue to grow. And then the medium elite guy in George Forster, 10 points and was a minus 51. He's up to a 71 overall, so that is huge for us to get some development from a guy on the bottom 6, because now that makes our roster even a little bit stronger. So George Forster is getting some growth. Loving to see that. We go to our right wingers, and Dmitry Korostin, 47 points, not too bad. 21 goals this year, which is, I believe, yeah, it's an improvement upon last year as well. So very good to see that. How was his face-off stats, considering we were playing him as a centerman? He was still below 50%, but still not too bad. And he had more takeaways than giveaways. Good. He's up to a 76 as well. So our team is getting really solid, actually, because we do have a couple 80s. We got some 70s now in our lineup. So stuff is looking good ahead for this team. Now we are going to have to start giving out some big contracts soon, probably, because some of our players that we've been drafting, their contracts are going to be ending this offseason. So Vladimir Goldobin, 38 points, not too bad. 34 of them are assists. He's up to a 66. He's got good offensive awareness and defensive awareness, which is nice. And then Dave Lannon in his first season, 15 points and a minus 36. He's also up to a 71 overall. So our team is almost getting close to being like a really good AHL territory, I would say, with an actual NHL top line. So we are definitely progressing. It's just more about the defense now, because the defense is where we're not really that great on, and we need to add to. So Ty Dubnyk, 67 overall, medium 7 still. I don't know if he's going to get much more development than a 67. Maybe he'll get to like a 74, 75, but that might be his peak. But 30 points, though, is still pretty good for a guy that's only a 67. Nikonov, who was a top 6 defenseman, he doesn't seem to be developing that well, which is not great. He's a 66 still, 24 points, minus 38. Christopoulos was a minus 17, or 73. So Christopoulos is definitely the weak link on the defense. Even though he's a 66, he doesn't have potential at all, which is not good. Roger Turris, 17 points and a minus 78. He's up to a 64. Hopefully he continues to get some development. And then Orlando Ryder, since Korka is not one of our prospects. Orlando Ryder, the enforcer, he's a 55. And he won't develop much more than that. He only had 1 assist in that season. 43 penalty minutes, so he's not very physical as an enforcer. But he only took 8 shots through the entire season, which is kind of crazy. And then in terms of our goaltending, this is where it gets interesting. Sven Johansson, or Jonsson actually, not Johansson, 835 and 9, so he actually won us majority of our games. He had an 890 save percentage and a 4.15 goals against average. He's up to a 70 overall now, so we almost have a legitimate AHL starter, which is kind of nice, or close to it in a sense. Or maybe like an AHL backup more than likely. And then Brandon Collin, 423 and 4, and 892 and a 4.29. So both these goalies didn't do too bad. Collin is up to a 60. I think he was a 60 before, so he didn't really develop at all, which is not that great. So that is our NHL team, and now we got to quickly take a look at Soderstrom in the AHL. He actually had a pretty solid season, 820 and 1. He actually picked up a shutout, which is nice too, with a 907 and a 3.04. He's a 59 overall, so he's still slowly developing, but hopefully he could be in the NHL maybe next season or maybe a couple of seasons from now, because we don't want to rush his development too much. So that is our player stats for the season, and it was actually a pretty solid season, I'd say, for this young team. And hopefully it will help us out in terms of being a good team in the next few seasons, or maybe even trying to contend in the next few seasons. I don't know, because we're only in year 3, so year 4 should be interesting for sure. Okay, so now that the season is done, let's simulate all the way up to the playoffs, or the awards for the season. And then that's when we'll take a look at like the progress reports and all that stuff, and find out where we're drafting and stuff like that too. So who's going to win the Stanley Cup for year number 3? And are we going to get any awards? I think we might win Rookie of the Year with Gene Thornton, which would be good. I'm not sure how the other rookie that went after Gene Thornton was, but right now I think Gene Thornton was a great pick for our team. So, new contract offer, we got to go back to Houston. There you go, for 5 years. Boom. And Tampa Bay is going to win the Stanley Cup. Haven't they won a cup already in this franchise mode? They might have. And Springfield wins the AHL. So let's take a look at those awards. See if we got any awards. Let's take a look at the playoff tree for fun too. So Tampa swept St. Louis in the finals 4-0. Interesting. And the awards for this season, so Tampa Bay winning the Stanley Cup, Anaheim won the Presidents, and it was not Anaheim, but St. Louis and Tampa in the Cup Finals. So yeah, Tampa Bay has won 2 cups in this franchise mode in the first 3 years. Individual awards, Draisaitl gets the Hart Ross and the Hart. Barry gets the Norris, Draisaitl the Bing. Brad Lambert won the Calder's, so we didn't win a Calder, which kind of sucks. I don't know why Thornton didn't win it. I'll have to take a look at Brad Lambert's stat line, but he had a good year, I guess. Kucherov wins the Conn Smythe for the 2nd time already as well. Samsonov the Vezina and the Jennings. Ty Dubnyk is going to win the Bill Masterton for the 2nd straight year, so we just keep winning the Bill Masterton. Kunitz wins the Jack Adams. Barkov wins the Selke. Draisaitl Lindsay and the Richard. So Draisaitl had an incredible season, it seems like. So there's the awards there. AHL-wise, did we get any awards? I don't think so, right? Yeah, we didn't get a single AHL award, okay. Interesting. Let me take a look at how Brad Lambert did with Arizona, because I'm kind of curious on how he would have beaten Thornton, who was really good this year for us. So we go to Arizona. Brad Lambert had 72 points and was a minus 12. So the reason Brad Lambert won it is because of the plus-minus factor that Thornton was a minus 42. If we weren't such a terrible team and we weren't doing a draft of glory, he probably would have won it. But, of course, the plus-minus came into effect, I think. Because I think Gene Thornton deserved it a little bit more, considering he was playing on a terrible team. So, interesting. Anyways, that is the awards. Now let's take a look at our prospect reports, progress reports. I almost said prospect reports, but that's the same thing pretty much. Let's take a look at this just to see if there's any good development, and then we will simulate up to the draft lottery just to see where we're drafting, and then we'll take a look at that draft class again. So, yeah, Thornton and Forster getting a lot of development. A lot of the growth for Thornton is natural growth. All of it is, actually. So, Thornton might end up being like a 90 by the end of next season, which is nuts. Forster getting a lot, like I was mentioning, he's up to a 71. Henriksen, doesn't matter. But we are getting some good development, looks like, throughout our entire lineup. Because we definitely need that. But some guys aren't growing at all. Like Roger Turret stayed at 64 the entire year. Morales also didn't get any growth, which is kind of concerning. But maybe he will be getting some next season. Kahn jumped up to a 61 now, which is good. What about our elite goaltender in the system? Soderstrom's still up to a 59. Only went up by 4 points. So he's slowly developing, but hopefully he could become that elite goalie. Because if he doesn't, then we would have to rely on our fringe starters probably. So, anyways, that is the progress reports. Now we got to find out where we're drafting, and hopefully we win the draft lottery this year. Because adding another good adding a defensive prospect to this team would be good. So I don't know if we really want to win the draft lottery, because obviously we would want to take the best player available, but we need some defensemen. So let's see where we're going to be drafting for the 2024 draft. And we are going to be drafting at number 3. So we fall back from 1 to 3, which means the obvious choice is that defenseman that was supposed to go 4th overall anyways. So I think that's definitely what we're going to be doing with our 3rd overall pick, is taking that defenseman. But it really sucks that Florida goes from 8 to 1 and we go from 1 to 3. And we still have not won a lottery in this franchise mode. So, okay, so retired players, not that this matters that much because we're not really focused on the rest of the NHL too much. But there's the retirements, a lot of random guys. And yeah, I'm not going to scroll through it all. Goalie-wise, Jonathan Quick's the best goalie to retire. Interesting. Okay, so that is done, and Joe Pavelski is now a coach. Interesting. And Clutterbuck and Russell are now scouts. Okay. And then coaching-wise, did we lose any coach? I don't think so, right? No, we did not. Good. Because if we would have lost a coach, that would not be good. Let's continue simulating because I don't care about draft interviews. And let's take a look at this draft class for next episode, and then that'll be pretty much it. Well, I'll also show you guys the contract situation because there is guys that are going to need contracts this offseason for long-term deals. I'll probably give most of the guys that we draft like 8-year deals, as long as we could afford it cap-wise, which more than likely we can. So let's take a look at this draft class. Like I said, the defenseman more than likely is what we're going to get. Yeah, we're more than likely going to go with Artem Taratukin. He's a two-way defenseman. Really good stats. Apparently he's like Brent Burns. Does have some superstar abilities. Doesn't guarantee having an X factor, like a zone ability, but he looks like he has bouncer. So, size and skill, shutdown ability, heavy slap shot, and then his weakness is teammate utilization. So, yeah, he's more than likely going to be our pick at number 3. And then we're going to let Chiodo walk, I guess, or one of these guys is going to end up going to Philadelphia at 4, or number 4. So, yeah, Taratukin's more than likely the pick. And then in terms of other rounds, though, let's just pin Taratukin, pin the players that we might draft in next episode. Let's just go ahead up to the second round just to see what there is as well, just in case. So we'd be drafting first in the second round, which means we'd be drafting right here. We don't know anything about these guys so far. Looks like there's some decent players in the second round. Oh, there's a gem. Is it a good defenseman? 3-year ETA, though. We might have to take this guy since he's a gem and he's a defenseman. We do need a lot of defensemen, so we might add a lot of defenders this year. There's also Silverguard who looks decent, so I'll pin him. But yeah, I think this year's draft we target defense mainly, and if we need to, we could target a few forwards as well, maybe more goalies. I don't know. But it looks like this year's draft might have a lot of good defenders, so we might be in luck. Let's take a look at potential prospects just to see if there's any low elites. Wait, this medium elite guy is a sniper 5th overall. Okay. Trying to find steals if there's possible. Ooh, this guy looks good. 17-year-old, but he's supposed to go in the 2nd round. So we could take a forward again in Arcabello, and he is a center. We do need centers too. This guy might be decent. He might be elite. He might be just a top 6, but he looks like he has some good stats. 2-year ETA potentially as well. But he's not a guaranteed pick. Any low elites though? Let's see. Because that would be nice for a 7th rounder to find like a random low elite defenseman. Potentially this Galchenyuk guy, but he's a left winger. He does look pretty decent. I'm going to pin him. He might be a good 3rd rounder. But like I said, we do need defensemen first and foremost. And then we can look for centers too. Arkhipov looks okay. I'll pin him. And I think that's all I'll pin for now. Okay, so now that we've taken a look at the draft class, let me show you guys the contract situation going into next episode. And then that will be pretty much it for this episode too. So if we go to all expiring, so Morales is going to need a contract, which we could give him like an 8-year deal, but he's wanting like $12 million. Obviously it sucks that we have to run into salary cap and stuff like that, but yeah, so Morales is definitely going to be the most expensive of the bunch. I don't really know if we should give him an 8-year deal because he doesn't well, he does produce, but yeah, I don't know. He's probably the... Oh, he actually jumped up to an 89. Damn. Okay, so yeah, maybe we give him an 8-year deal. And then we also have Goldobin that needs a contract. Oh my god, are you kidding me? A lot of these like 69 overall guys want like $4 million. So we'll probably have to like qualify a lot of the guys that we drafted because they're going to just want ridiculous amounts. And then we'll be able to play them in our lineup once they accept like a qualifying offer of like $700,000. Because some of these guys, like, we could easily get Christopoulos back, but paying somebody like Mikanov, who's a 68, 1.6 is too much. Paying Goldobin a 69, though $4 million, that's way too much. I mean, I could lock him up for 8 years and just see if he develops, but there's probably better prospects that'll come into our system. Like, Sim wants 1.3 because he's playing a lot of time, so that's kind of interesting. And then, like, Holloway, $1 million. So like a lot of those guys will probably have to end up just qualifying to get their offers to actually go down to being reasonable. And then goalie wise, Johansson, I mean, we could lock him up for 8 years if we really wanted to. That type of thing. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Houston Sharpshooters Draft to Glory. So in next episode, we'll have the entire offseason again. But right now, I think this team is definitely making some good steps forward. And hopefully this year, with the draft and stuff like that, picking up some defensemen, this team might end up being even better next year. So let me know what you guys think down below. And I'll see you guys next time.